Yo, what's up guys? So today we're going to be showcasing off and kind of opening up this video for a discussion. What we're going to go ahead and first off show off is this infinite, no one can play Yu-Gi-Oh except for me combo using S0, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen before, but normally how S0 works is it has a few turns to go ahead and have this effect where your opponent cannot go ahead and use their cards. Your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated the entire turn. The thing is if you combo with Time Thief Perpetua, you have a once per turn to add one card, so you have essentially an infinite negates, infinite, your opponent cannot ever play cards, unless they happen to have something to, of course, negate your combo, or go ahead and activate in response to this card. Your opponent basically doesn't get to Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, there are lots of different decks, if they don't draw that one card, specifically the Droplets Imperm, or anything like a Super Poly, they're just going to straight up lose. But if you're thinking, oh, maybe it's a cheesy deck, watch this deck actually be able to grind. It is actually going to be using the combination of the new Time Thief cards as well as the new ZW weapons cards that just got announced. Now, we're basically not going to be using it other than for the draw power for like the Utopia engine. However, if you really want to, yeah, you could throw in some of the newer cards that would actually help out that engine a little bit more. But we're really just using the Utopia engine for draw power at the end of the day. And again, this is the same concept. This is against another deck. I know this guy doesn't open up with, well, technically this is kind of a hand trap, but we will showcase the duel facing off against decks that are able to go ahead and respond to this turn one combo, even going into grind games. But I really wanted to go ahead and open up the door for a discussion video because, well, I did want to go and show off some of the new Time Thief cards because I haven't shown them off. The new ZW cards we already covered in like a specific video. However, I really want to open up this because there is obviously going to be a ban list, hopefully pretty soon, maybe December or January. But nonetheless, I would really like to open it up to what do you guys feel about S0 in the game? Do you guys think it's balanced? I've always felt like cards that lock your opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Are super unfair. And the fact that there is, of course, newer Time Thief cards and all the ZW cards can easily spam out this combo. Do you guys think that this card should be banned? Now, obviously with True King, it's kind of like the same thing. Your opponent really doesn't get to play. I mean, technically, that card isn't as bad as this because, well, this one makes it so your opponent's cards and effects can't be activated. And on top of that, technically, I guess with this, you can infinitely start pulling off the combo where you're able to go ahead and as that quick effect to another Exceed monster you control and just attach Time Thief cards to it over and over again, and then you again have infinite negates, which is obviously not very fair. But let's go ahead and show off this duel where the other player is able to play against this deck. And in fact, I'll show off multiple duels where maybe they don't go first. Maybe the opponent opens up with a Dragoon and has hand traps. Watch and find out how powerful this deck can actually be. But like I mentioned before, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gotten to the point where it is a negate fest, right? If you don't happen to have Droplets or Imperm, or you stop your opponent from comboing maybe a Nibiru, a lot of times it just feels bad when you kind of lose. And this deck will consistently throw this card out. And in combination with Perpetua, you're going to actually be able to, again, attach those extra materials. But you can actually make other things and go into crazier things, which you guys are about to see in today's video. As I will consider this an upgraded deck profile, because I will be showing off it kind of have more of a grind game as well. Because I think some people that are interested in like the new ZW weapons, they want to go ahead and have a better like turn one play. As that deck turn one, you have like one disruption, which is obviously not that great in Yu-Gi-Oh! You need multiple disruptions to be a little bit more viable. Plus the addition of AA Zeus in like any deck that can make exceeds. Now see, he lost out on his combo right there, and that does happen, right? Not every game is going to be like, I make S0, I instantly win the game. But I also feel like any card that just opens up the doors to mechanics where like it just shuts your opponent completely from playing. I mean, heck, we have Imperial Order back in the game, which I still think is a crazy good card. But I think anything that shuts down like all mechanics, like I understand the Tribbies can stop spells, we have Barkion that can do the traps, and there are some other things that can stop monster effects, but those are like the hottest things right now in terms of like stopping every like one niche thing. But when you have one card that does all of it, I think it's just a little bit too powerful, especially with all of the new ZW support. Again, you're going to be able to make this very, very easy. And you guys are going to see, well, consistently it being thrown out because it's just go basically into rank 4s and then go ahead and go on up. But you also will be seeing number 27 go right into the Quantum Mech King Great Magnus. Now, if you guys don't know what Great Magnus does, he was like one of the more OG super boss monsters in the game, where it has its effect when you have 4 or more attachments to it, it is unaffected by card effects except for super cards. So you can go ahead and use Perpetua and also use this card to be another target to go ahead and have a super boss monster and be immune to everything. Plus, if you happen to get 6, which is totally actually possible to do, your opponent cannot add cards from the deck, from their hand by card effects from the deck. So that is another plus to it that you usually don't need to go ahead and do, because once it has 4 materials, your opponent's probably losing the following turn. But this guy is playing like a heavy mix-up of Shaddoll Dinos over here, so he's going to go ahead and have to just GG out of that one. But there are some surprisingly good duels with this over here. And again, you will see other people go first, because while I want to see Utopia is a deck that, like, you can't really throw out anything turn 1 that's really good. Again, you have like 1 disruption, then you have a Utopia that's immune to things, but if your opponent like just kaijus you, it's like game over for the most part. But with, of course, the S0, you're able to go ahead and have these additional plays, and you'll have more of a recovery with the Time Thief archetype. Like, the Time Thief dog is just so free. It is absolutely insane. How easy it is to come back from this deck, which you guys will again see in the replays over here. So he's got a setup, he's got a disruption over here, and then obviously this card can potentially, if you summon another card, get another disruption. So he's going to go ahead and add with Utopia. That's going to go ahead and get stopped by the Ash, but it's not really that big a deal. I also think Exceed Change Tactics is a little bit too insane. Some people aren't even playing it, which is absolutely crazy to me. I think it's way too good not to play. You can potentially draw like 4 cards, and then if you happen to have it survive, you're drawing another set of cards the following turn, so I feel like it's very powerful in that aspect. Like, I mean, he's already got stopped by Ash, he's got stopped by Baylor, he's got stopped by Fog Blade over here, and he's still going to be able to go ahead and go off, making S0, attaching more material to it, so it's even stronger, and going for a lightning, drawing another card. Like, you guys might laugh at Utopia, and I felt the same way. I'm like, it's like CW weapons in 2020, like, it's really not that great. But when you don't even actually use it for that purpose, and you make it an S0 Time Thief, Perpetua, Infinite Negate, like, what do they do? If they don't happen to have, again, those hand traps, or more so it's, well, I consider Imperma hand trap. I'm sure most of you guys do as well. It's like that or Droplet. Otherwise, you basically just have to go ahead and say GG. This one is going to be up against the DDDs. But there's a few more interesting plays, and you will finally get to see a card that no one ever makes. And I really wanted to cover this, so stay tuned to the end, and you'll see something pretty dang hype in the gameplay over here. So this one up over here is just turn 1. The guy can't really do anything, but the follow-up over here, I believe, shows something else off, because I have a lot of these replays of this deck, but I wanted to go and highlight ones that would be more important, because pretty much, okay, on average, if your opponent doesn't have anything, they just set a card, right? This is what normally would happen. But what you're able to go ahead and do with this build is make the number 27 and then follow it up with a massive amount of attack. If this card just had 100 more attack, a lot of times you'd be able to make a game. But with the Quantal Great Magnus, I mean, on top of your opponent not being able to do anything, you can get this card, and then on the, your opponent's turn, as soon as it starts, as this is a quick effect, you will have this card being immune to everything because it has 4+. I just want to go ahead and highlight that, as that is a very common play, and I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the deck profile as well, so you guys can go ahead and build this deck and make some people really, really salty, because again, this was just important to show off this play. Look at the disrespect over there, send it to the graveyard. Since this card is technically unaffected by everything, that was the reason why I wanted to show off this one, which is a very common play that you can go ahead and do in it. Now, surprisingly, this one is, yes, okay, this one is against Dino Mist, and if you guys don't know, Dino Mist are not that bad. I mean, a lot of people think of it as Cyber Dragon Infinity, like you summon it once and that's about it. This guy actually plays quite well, and it's kind of rare to see a good Dino Mist player, just in general. Not even in 2020, but like back when they first came out, back when Pendulums actually had the good Pendulum, which like didn't require Link Zones, you could just spam all of them over and over again. Yeah, it's just rare to see good Dino Mist players. But in this instance, he's going to go for Infinity just to go ahead and attack over the Perpetua so he doesn't have more attachments. Going to go ahead and set a Dino Mist Rush in the back row. Just going to go ahead and attack right over the Infinity so he cannot negate anything. And then pass it off. Obviously, this is going to go ahead and start, doing the negation. But he happened to have a Dino Mist Rush that he could chain, so he's going to go ahead and get out an extra card, which will grant him the ability to make number 41, because we're also going to be considering this upgrade deck profile to kind of counter it. This would be kind of a good go-to card, as this does stop them from being able to do too much once you go ahead and go off. But this card, again, is still a huge threat for anyone to deal with, because as soon as this card loses those attachments, you already know what's going to be happening. So he has to run over a 4,000 monster, but the Link monsters go ahead and get around the mechanic, and he's going to be able to stop that effect, making F-Zero attack and actually attacking over it, which is quite cool. But the regulator is going to go ahead and come back out. When exceed monster you control destroy by battle, you can go and just special summon it, and it does technically get banished, but just attaches material easy, right? So you still have a way for this deck to have a little bit more recovery, as the Time Thief engine is going to be able to be applied here very easy, with Perpetua being able to just attach from the deck. So you have insane consistency to have extra recovery if anything goes wrong. So he's not going to be able to go ahead and attach material, because of course this card says no to everything. Eventually will go away, but it stalls for quite a bit of time, and Trust is going to go ahead and give him another monster. He's going to go ahead and be able to make Utopia, getting that effect potentially to negate after this card, of course, it goes away because it has no material. Genius is going to go ahead and start negating things, so he's going to negate Utopia, but keep in mind that the Dreadnought does have another effect that a lot of people don't know about. So he's going to go ahead and attach more material with the Perpetua. So if this card would be destroyed by battle by card effect, you can actually protect it by detaching a material, and this is going to give you free material every single turn. So it can get, again, really nasty with the amount of recovery that the Time Thief engine offers. So while I did show you guys a bunch of turn 1 gameplays where, like, in the beginning, that was like the intro showing you guys how powerful the deck was, and generally what will happen if your opponent doesn't have anything. But if they have droplets or something, they get rid of your board, you still have recovery. Again, Perpetua right into the Regulator is already another free level 4 monster, and if you can follow up with another level 4, you can go ahead and continue off in your combo. And with the change tactics, you can go ahead and start drawing a lot of cards. He's going to go ahead and go for the Mistar Boy, pop in the back row, which is droplet, so unfortunately no droplet going to be coming out the following turn. But he's going to actually make a card that never sees any play. This is Saros or Resh. This is a Link 5 3000, letting you use your opponent's monster as Link material over here, which is quite cool. But the Link Summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activate effects that do not target it. He still happens to have a Quantal Mech King Great Magus over here, so that card is still very powerful, but it did lose out on the attachments. Still has a nice amount of attack though, 3,600, so it will be able to go ahead and run over that. But on top of that, once per turn when your opponent activates a card or effect that includes an effect that special summons a monster from the graveyard, you can just negate that effect, which technically would stop some of the cards in here, but AA Zeus is still here to go ahead and cause some problems, as this card is really great against a lot of different decks, as it sends all other cards from the field to the graveyard, and you already know that's not going to be too good against a Pendulum player. They're going to be real salty when they lose their entire board, but in this instance he's not gonna lose anything because it's game over already. I got 2 more plays to go ahead and show you guys, and then we'll go ahead and hop into the deck profile. But this one is a pretty good duel too. In fact, a lot of these were just so good that it was really hard to pick and choose the ones that I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys. But again, I wanted to have this video as a discussion video. Do you guys think S0 is really OP? Because Numerons, remember guys, they're getting more support, and the only time we see Numerons is when people go summon S0. Yes, there is Infinite Track turn 1, but do you really want to go for that when you can go for it? Your opponent cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh! By detaching a material, for the most part, unless they have, again, something to stop this. It will be an infinite negate because Perpetua adds 1 card as a quick effect every single turn, and that will, of course, let you go ahead and do it on your turn as well, as it is a quick effect. So you're basically getting 2 material every single time it goes back to your opponent, which I guess you can activate 1 during yours and 1 during your opponent's if you want to go ahead and do so, since that is also a quick effect. Now that is once per your opponent's turn, but for the most part, yeah, you have this extra quick effect on your opponent's and your turn, which is what I feel like makes it super OP. But yeah, it's just how the deck is, man. And then we even have double or nothing for some extra potential plays over here. He's going to go ahead and destroy that card, but the Time Thief startup is going to go ahead and be activated in response to that. So let's go ahead and special summon a Time Thief monster from your hand, and then you can banish it, target a Time Thief monster, and attach 3 Time Thief cards with different types of monster, spell, and trap, although we're not going to really be doing that. It's just for the extra summon of extending the combos over here. We still have AA Zeus, and like I showed off before with AA Zeus, if you happen to have that effect, this one does require you to detach 2 materials, so Perpetual kind of need to be there, but this card already has, look at how many material, there's 5 materials attached to it. If you just had 1 more, there was going to be no searching at all, but the guy still goes ahead and actually plays, so he's going to go ahead and activate this, bouncing back the Stratos, so he loses out on the Mirror Shield, and he's going to go ahead and attack right over the Magus over here, because this card is 3,600, and this is just boosting up itself. So he's going to go ahead and summon Bulbman, activating Reborn, going into some more plays, summoning Striker, going into Halki Fibrax, and I'm like, okay, wow, he actually came back. He's got 300 life points. This is like anime status of a duel. It always reminds me of my older series where I call it Fire Replays, but going back to the discussion at hand of S0, do you guys think it should be banned? Because, again, with the newer stuff coming out, I feel like the only real deck that uses the Numerons, which of course they want to support the Numerons. I mean, the newer stuff is kind of hard to get out, but realistically, in order to get out, you gotta like negate everything, and S0 might stay around for those reasons. But at the end of the day, what would you guys even ban anything in like the ZW weapons? I know it sounds dumb, but this is Chrono Rotor over here. This is a really fantastic card as well, which when the Exceeded Monster went away, he was able to summon it and attack for game because he Azeused. And I thought that was a really, really cool play, and I like that one over there. Now we're seeing it up against a guy that's going to have Nibiru, which is also a fantastic card indeed, and he's going to go ahead and Striker Dragon, so it's like a Dragon Link. Next one with the Eldritch, and then he's going to go ahead and summon the Ogre, so he can potentially also negate something if they happen to summon a card, because this is technically a quick effect, and it works from the field as well. A lot of people don't know about that, but that is one combo that some people do. So he's got a Dragoons, he's got the Conquistador, he's also got a Veiler. He stops that with, of course, Droplet. He's going to go ahead and go for the Chopi Double. However, that is going to go ahead and be stopped by the Veiler, but that gets stopped by Called by the Grave. He also has a rank up as Zexal Force, and he's just going to go ahead and say, you know what? I'm over it. It's game over for me. He also technically had the Nibiru. I felt like he kind of gave up too early, although there wasn't going to be any follow-ups. I guess he just felt like, okay, I lose at this point. I felt like he kind of gave up early on it, but that's the deck, guys. Let's go ahead and hop right into the deck profile. Alright, so there are going to be some variations over here. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys both of them over here. But big shouts to my homie Teriyaki for hooking me up with the gameplay. But what do you guys think about S0? Do you guys think it should be banned or not? But Time Thief, Zexal Weapons, I don't know if I want to call it Zexal Weapons, because, like, yeah, we need the newer cards to go ahead and be there. Like, Rank Up Zexal Force is part of the ZW stuff, but we don't need it for that. We go make this. It's way better than going for, like, the super boss monster that gets wrecked by a kaiju. I'd rather just negate everything. But here's one of the variants over here. So it's got 3 Winder, and then Dinotherium, 3 of those. Putting Cessior, it's just a free special summon. Don't worry about it being my Dolce. We got Goblinberg, 3 copies of that, 1 Bezel Ship, 1 copy of the Chrono Quarter, and then 3 copies of the new ZS Ascend Sage, 3 copies of regular. I mean, this card is just instantly just go into it. This card just makes the deck so much better, especially if you open up with it. And then we have the Arm Sage, then we have Butter Spry, we have Infusion Reinforcement Army, we have Monster Reborn, Gen Force, and then 2 copies of the Zexal Force and 2 copies of the, 3 copies of Zexal Construction. Let's go ahead and add any ZW monster, ZS monster, or the Spell and Trap as well, so extra consistency. Then we have the Entrust. So those, all the cards that say OTG are like the newer cards here that make everything possible with, of course, the ZS, ZW weapons. And then we have the Startup over here. You got 2 copies of that, 2 copies of Droplet, 1 copy of Double or Nothing, and then 3 copies of Change Tactics. And then I'll mouse over the extra deck really quick over here, as they're pretty much the same in both of the builds. Some of the cards, keep in mind, sometimes when it gets updated, it kind of like messes them up, but I would probably still suggest running everything in the extra deck, like maxed it out. But I'll give you guys this one, as well as this one did run the Zuba engine, which can be another engine that a lot of people have been basically playing, an Adamantipator as well, just to go for some more plays, since they are actually rock. And if you guys want to go ahead and add in the Shade Brigandine, it's just another monster you can summon, as well as Impermanence. Go ahead and stop your opponent for getting from pulling off big boards. I mean, this deck honestly would lose to the same thing that other decks would again lose to, but I want to show off the Baguska because I thought it was a good play as well. And then we have Automata Pickup at 3, and then Change Tactics, and I'll mouse over some of these other cards because they are cards to maybe consider if you want to go ahead and play them as well. You can see the ZW cards, but they're just really not that great at the end of the day compared to just make S0 as strong as possible, and it will be very powerful. But anyways, guys, that's the new Time Thief Zexal weapon deck that was really insane when I first saw it. I'm like, dude, that's insane. That again, with Perpetua, you're getting those infinite negates where every single turn you're getting more material on this, and this card is supposed to go away. That's how you counter it. You set a card, they're supposed to heavily invest everything into making this one card, and then you know, you just stall for a turn or two, but there's never going to be a turn or two because it's just going to be attach. But anyways, that's the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. If you did, drop a like on it, and if you guys are new to the channel here and you want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll definitely see more very soon. And big shouts to my homie Teriyaki for hooking me up with, of course, the deck profile as well as the gameplay. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video. And I'm signing out. Peace.